April 27th, 2023 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. This meeting and hearings of the commission will be held in person at this location. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in person. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if we have technical problems that interrupt the broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item of this are encouraged to make plans for in-person attendance versus virtual attendance for that reason. And there is a WebEx link on the agenda on the town calendar if someone would like to get on. And there's also a telephone number if you have trouble with it. Okay, so the first thing is, after we do our roll call, when I call your name, please say present or here. Rob Sheehan?
Here.
Okay. Kent Moffett?
Here.
Okay. On the screen, we have Bill Boyven.
Here.
Okay. And also online, we have Commissioner Indra Deb.
Here.
All right. And Commissioner Ed Loturco is absent. He should be noted for the record. And for the record, the chair, myself, Larry Cohen, is present. Okay, so next is public comment. We reserve a couple of minutes for anyone who would like to take up a subject that's not specifically on the agenda. So we have a public comment period. Is there anyone here that would like to make a few comments? Come on up. I think either way works right here.
You can be here, but you can do what
Obviously,
you like.
you state your name, who you're affiliated with, or where you live, and the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening. My name is Tom Pryor. I'm here as a private citizen. I live at 26 Beacon Street at Beacon Village Apartments. I'm also the recording secretary for this commission, so I take the minutes. So it's nice to see you all in person. I am here because I work full-time for the DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm a forest ecologist, so that means I study forest health. And this summer, we're having a series of walk and talk workshops where we go to a few different state parks in different parts of the state. The closest one to Burlington will be in Topsfield at Bradley Palmer State Park. I think it's, the date is, it's in July, I think July 14th. This was emailed around to you folks. I sent it to Eileen yesterday. It's just our main audience is anyone interested in conservation and actually conservation commissioners and other type of environmentally minded town officials. So I would be remiss if I didn't invite my conservation commissioners to come and join us. They're about 2 hours. It's a nice walk. I have some very smart colleagues. We know a few things about forest health and some different threats, including different kinds of beetles, bugs, diseases, invasives, all kinds of things that I've noticed in watching the videos that you sometimes get questions on. So if any of you are interested at all, it's during the workday, to come out and walk with us for a couple of hours. You might learn something about forest health threats. Anyone is welcome. And I just wanted to invite you all. Thank you.
Very good. Let me ask you, is this reservations needed?
Just email me. My state email is on the flyer that was sent out. It's free. We never get enough people to have the cap, but we usually cap it at probably like 20-ish people. So, but anyone, kids, adults, anyone is welcome.
Sounds great. And is there a page on the DCR page for this as well?
This is going to be posted on our website if it's not already. It's been sent around to Eileen and to all of you. And right at the bottom of the screen, you can see you have to send an email reservation to me at thomas.pryor@mass.gov. It's right there.
All right,
So,
Mr.
anytime.
Pryor, very nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next we have approval of minutes. These are the April 13th, 2023 minutes. I guess we need to approve them. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Just to, Bill did point out that there was a vote missing, so I'll just have to fix that.
Okay. But can we approve them now still?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Okay. There was a motion by
Rob?
Mr. Sheehan. Anyone seconding?
Second, Bill.
All right. Let me, okay, Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 7-0. The minutes of April 13th, 2023. Do we have subcommittee minutes to approve as well, March 18th?
Oh, we did, yes.
They weren't on the agenda, but we can still approve them. Okay.
Sure.
Is there a motion to approve the subcommittee meetings for March 18th? This is a subcommittee. It's officially called the Wetlands Resiliency Subcommittee, and the purpose is to take a look at what suggestions for bylaw changes could be made in order to set the stage for anticipating climate change, which means more severe rainstorms, more severe windstorms, and so forth, things like that, and of course, higher heat. So we are taking a look at possible changes to our bylaw in this subcommittee meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of March 18th for the Wetlands Resiliency Subcommittee?
So moved, Rob?
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Kent?
All right. Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0. These subcommittee minutes are approved. Next, we have a request for a certificate of compliance, the NMB Corporation, 24 Terry Ave. It's DEP file number 122-672. Is somebody here for that one? Okay.
Oh.
No. I guess, Eileen, you want to?
Sure, she
Carrie.
must have I wonder if either of us told. Basically, it was a pretty small project. It was adding some parking spaces, which are shown here,
Right.
to a lot at 24 Terry. They had done an NOI to make a large addition to the lot, and then they closed that out, and then they realized that they actually wanted to add these spaces as well, so they had to do a whole other NOI. Pretty small project. I sent around a few pictures. They have a little, as John called it, what did you call it? Semi-LID? A semi-LID feature. They have this stone trench at the back, which is taking the runoff, and the whole thing is surrounded by, a lot of it's surrounded by grass anyway. And they had to do a new sidewalk as well, and that was partially for the planning board. I have no issues with this. It was, came out exactly as expected and as described, and I would also recommend you return the bond as well. Oh, what was the bond for? 2,000?
Okay, so,
It's okay, I'll check.
are there any comments from the commission on the request for certificate of compliance for 24 Terry Ave? That was a small project, I remember being there.
No problem.
All right, then,
I have seen this on my way back and forth to my home, since on my way home.
right,
Yeah,
right.
thought so.
All right, so, could I have a motion
In my head.
to issue the certificate of compliance to the NMB Corporation at 24 Terry Ave for DEP file number 122-672? Is there such a motion?
Indra, so moved.
All right, second.
Second, Rob?
Rob is seconding. All right, Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The request for a certificate of compliance for 24 Terry Ave is approved by 5-0. How much was the bond?
$2,000.
Is the stabilization okay on that one?
Yes, it is.
Okay, 2,000,
Yep, I would recommend you return it.
full release. All right, sounds good. Could I have a motion to issue full release of a $2,000 bond for the NMB Corporation, 24 Terry Ave, DEP file number 122-672?
So moved, Kent?
Second?
Second, Kent?
Second, Indra.
Okay. Okay, we have Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And Indra?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The bond is fully released for 24 Terry Ave. Okay, now we can, let's see. Okay, we got, okay. Okay, okay. All right.
Which one? I lost.
Okay.
You were never going to win.
All right, so next on the agenda. Okay, we have item 5A. Okay, notice is given that the commission will hold a public meeting, during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Criterium Dutka Engineers for the proposed replacement of 67 decks, some within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. These 67 decks are located at 35 Arborwood Drive in Burlington, and we will thereafter issue a determination. The application's being heard under both the Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14, and a copy of the application's available by emailing conservation@burlington.org. Okay, so we have anybody here for Arborwood?
Good evening, this is Allison Millivan. I'm with BSC Group. I'm here on behalf of Criterium Dutka Engineers to present this request for determination of applicability to the board. Can everyone hear me okay?
We can, good evening.
Good evening. So this project is an in-kind replacement of existing decks. The purpose of the project is to get these existing decks at Arborwood condominiums up to code. Right now, the footings are undersized, so there are safety concerns. The purpose is to replace existing decks in kind, as I mentioned, so there's no increase in footprint or increase in disturbance that's already existing within the 100-foot buffer zone. There will be no work within the actual biological wetland. All work will be occurring within existing landscaped yards associated with the condominium complex. There are certain locations that were identified in the application that are existing outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, and those are Greystone Court. So the applicant has requested that they be able to move forward since these are not within the commission's jurisdiction. In the meantime, while the request for determination of applicability can be addressed and determined.
Okay, thank you. Eileen, you have any comments for us relative to the?
I will, did you want to add anything, or are you good?
Yeah, should I sit at the?
Sure, just state your name for the record and who you're affiliated with.
Right, Bruce Dykstra from Criterium Dutka Engineers. I'm working with the board at Arborwood to put these decks in. There was a question about fencing. There was a note in the, or a drawing in the specifications that articulated fencing. Now, the fencing there is actually the private fencing that will actually divide the double decks. There will be no fencing added. It's just within the context of the deck.
Okay. Thank you.
I really don't have anything to add. As Alison said, so this came up, they were going to do the whole batch of 87 decks to get them up to code. Some of the decks, a big chunk, were in the buffer to BBW. As she said, I did allow some of them to go ahead, like these ones here. I think it was the Greystone Court. Maybe there was Treetop as well. I now don't remember which street was which. Some of them are outside the buffer, some of them were inside the buffer. I did take some pictures and I sent them around to you guys, so you could sort of just get the general idea that they are close to wetlands, but I don't have any concerns that these are going to have any impact because they're really just being replacement in kind. I did just have a question on the draft determination about fencing, but I think what that is up here. It's the It's just like the privacy fence in between two on a double. So John thought that was obvious. I didn't at the time. So I have no concerns about these decks.
Okay. All right, let's see if there's any questions. Bill, you have any questions on this one?
Just one, are you actually gonna be replacing the concrete footing for each of these, or just putting the new posts on existing?
Should have stayed here. We are replacing the footings. The present footings are undersized. So
Okay.
to bring it up to code, we have to put new ones in.
All right, and is so that's not very extensive, you're just able to pull out the old ones and pour a new one, or are they prefab?
They're prefab, so what they do is they dig a hole. The base is 22 inches. So they dig down roughly a hole of about 24 inches, maybe a little bit bigger, and then put the new footing in as they remove the old. And then they will fill in what they've taken out, putting back into the hole, obviously.
You're gonna use the existing posts?
No, they will be discarded. Oh, sorry, no. The existing posts are 4x4, and code is 6x6, so we're upgrading the posts as well.
So they'll be upgraded as well. All right,
Yep.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Indra?
Well, I think that's the question I had. So you're taking out the existing footings. What is the size of the existing footings now?
8 inches. 8 inches round, and then it goes down to a spread footing, roughly around 40 inches down.
So you're replacing that 8 inches by 24 inches, right?
Yes, yes.
They were.
Well, actually, it's roughly about, the tube itself is roughly about 8 inches to 3 feet, and then there's a spread footing at that 3-foot point that will be removed as well. And then a new prefab, which is called an easy tube prefab footing that will go in, the barrel of which is 11 inches, and then the footing is 22 inches. So, and that meets the code that we're looking to achieve.
The whole has
Thank
to be
you.
22.
All right, let's get a couple more. Let's see, Kent,
Nothing to add.
Rob?
So is so it seems like a lot of footing, so is can you explain a little, like how the concrete is going to be sort of mixed and filled? And then, like, making sure that the concrete sort of remaining on site and not,
That's the nice part about the prefab. These are prefab footings, so there's no mixing
Okay.
of cement on site.
okay.
So that's
They have prefab footing?
footings, yeah, they come actually in
So you
pieces.
will not be mixing,
No,
so that eliminates my concern about you washing the equipment and stuff
yes,
near a wetland.
totally. That's a very good
Well,
point.
that's the answer, thank you.
There you go.
I think
Thank you. Good thing you brought that up then. Okay. I don't have any more questions. Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions on this? All right. Okay, we have a negative conditional determination that attaches some relatively standard conditions to it. And if it's voted upon, which is likely, then you'll be all set. So we're gonna go through the draft, we'll have the vote, and then you'll be all set.
Excellent.
Okay, so, Eileen, you wanna?
Yep, just trying to make it bigger so that everybody can see it. Okay, so there was actually quite a lot of plan references because they were just being very careful. The applicant proposed to replace 87 decks, 67 of which were within the buffer to BVW. That's around the complex to the north, south, and east. Decks would have new 22-inch footings, but would be replacements in size and location. I can take this bit out because it's actually perfectly clear now that the fencing is part of the deck itself. It's not separate fencing. Several of the decks were outside the buffer, and that work was allowed to commence before the meeting to consider the determination for the work. I went there a couple of days ago. Work was happening. It was in a pretty confined. These properties are fairly small, confined sort of area. So you're voting to issue a negative determination for work as outlined in this project description. No tree removals are permitted, no cutting of pressure-treated lumber within bordering vegetated wetlands. We actually forgot to ask what the material is. Is it pressure-treated lumber or is it some sort of plastic composite?
is pressure treated, yes.
All wood scraps should be removed and disposed of properly. They should install erosion controls between the decks and the wetlands on the ones where they were required to wait. No tracking of sediments onto public roadways, no dumping of sediment or debris or into the wetlands, and no use of fungicides, herbicides, or pesticides within most of this property, really. And this also states that we may have permission just to check on the procedure as it's happening.
All right, and anyone have any commissioners have any further changes or additions to it? All right, hearing none, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the property at 35 Arborwood Drive to replace 67 decks under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved, Bill.
Second?
Second, Rob?
Second, Kendra.
All right. Okay, Rob? How
I
you?
guess.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 5-0. A negative conditional determination has been approved for 35 Arborwood. Thank you very much. Thank you online.
Thank you. May I please request that, if possible, this determination be sent electronically so that the contractor may begin work as soon as possible, please?
It's dated for next Tuesday because we won't have all the signatures. So,
Okay.
so it can be on Tuesday, however.
Okay, I think that's acceptable. Bruce, is that acceptable to you?
That is acceptable, yes.
Bruce, do you want to pick up the hard copy? Or, I mean, not that it matters at that
We
point.
can definitely have someone come and pick it up.
Okay, that's
easier.
just, no, it's a little faster, that way you'll have the original.
Okay, excellent. We'll plan
Okay.
on doing it.
Okay, I'll make a note.
Thanks, Allison.
And in fact, I'm signing the decision right now.
Oh,
Yeah, but we need an extra signature from somebody who's online, that's
yeah,
the,
exactly. I totally get it.
and Bruce will pick up. Or somebody, sorry.
I'll be coming in tomorrow to sign.
Okay,
We change the date to Monday.
all right.
Okay,
Let's see where we are now.
Bruce or somebody will pick up.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, have a
Thank you,
good
Alison.
evening. Good luck with the project.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Eileen, I appreciate it.
You're welcome, bye. Oops, I have to run somebody else over.
All right, item number 6. Notice is given that the Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing and will take information related to a notice of intent and Burlington Wetland Bylaw application filed by Beth Israel Leahy Health. It is for the construction of a new driveway access at 41 Burlington Mall Road in Burlington. The proposed work would be within the riverfront resource area pursuant to the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. The commission will review all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a wetlands permit for the project. The application is available by going to the link on the Conservation Commission's webpage. All the materials are there. Okay, someone here for that one? Hi there, good evening.
Hello, is it all right if I sit here so I can see the
It
plan?
is certainly all right.
Appreciate
No
that.
problem.
Remember, you'll have to shout at me to which plan to go to when you
Yes,
as you're
don't
talking.
worry, I will do that, no
Okay.
problem. Yeah, we can just start with the cover sheet.
Oh, you have to introduce
Oh,
yourself.
introduce myself, okay.
And who you're with.
Good evening, commission members, Mr. Commissioner. For the record, my name is David Robinson. I'm a project manager with Allen and Major Associates. We're the record land surveyor, civil engineer, and landscape architect on the petition before you. As mentioned, it's at the Beth Israel Leahy Hospital located at 41 Mall Road. And the specific project is, if you scroll down a little bit, it's on the plan south, but it's actually the west side of the property, right where that cursor is. This project is a new entranceway to a relocated radiation and oncology unit within the hospital.
Yeah, she's gonna blow that up, I think.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah, no, I
making
know,
it bigger
it's-
for
Could you
everybody.
explain where Mall Road is relative to this? That'll
Yep,
help.
so Mall Road is on the left-hand side, running north to south.
Okay,
And the actual location of the specific project within the large mall or hospital campus is immediately adjacent to the helipad that we permitted and constructed about 2 years ago.
that's right near the emergency room?
And that's right near the emergency department, correct?
The new emergency
The
department.
new emergency department. And this particular project occurs in an existing contractor paved parking lot right next to the helipad, right off of Loop Road. So the petition before you this evening is for a very small amount of work that encroaches upon the 200-foot outer riparian area to the Vine Brook. The area is currently paved, developed, existing degraded with impervious surfaces. And you will see that this project reduces the net impervious on site by approximately 818 square feet. The project is, if you want to scroll to
Yeah.
the, sorry.
No, I will, I was just making notes at the same time. Which one do you want me to go to?
Let's go to the layout plan.
Okay, what
I think it's
number,
the
do you remember what that
fifth
is?
sheet down.
Okay,
Maybe you can tell us how do you achieve the reduction in impervious?
Yep, I can. So,
there, here we go.
yeah, and
Oh my God, really?
no
No,
problem.
no, it was just, Am I on the right plan or did I come off?
This is good.
Okay,
This is good. So if you could scroll down just a little bit.
yeah,
Okay, so Loop Road, as you can say, is labeled to the bottom. We're proposing to install that looped access drive, and there will be a landscaped area in the middle. And that will provide access to a new entryway to the relocated oncology. Now, there was a question about how do we reduce the net impervious? So this, under existing conditions, is a paved parking lot.
Got it.
And that landscaped area in the middle, which I'll show you the landscape plan at the end, is going to be beautifully planted with hundreds of new plantings. We're gonna make it a really nice entryway for people who need to access the radiation and oncology unit. There's going to be an overhang as detailed in that dash line at the top, right up against the building exactly. And I should note that that overhang is above completely impervious surfaces. So it's impervious above and impervious below. The main reduction in impervious surface is through that landscaped island in the middle and some of the landscape islands off to the right near the helipad. That structure you see on the right-hand side right there, that's the elevated helipad. And my firm actually did the permitting and construction oversight for that. So as I mentioned, the reason why we're before you this evening is there's a very small encroachment into the 200-foot Vine Brook existing degraded area. If you note that dashed line right there, exactly where Eileen's cursor is,
Yes.
that's it. That's the encroachment. It's about 680 square feet. It is less than 1% of the entire riverfront area on the site, and it is existing impervious. We're pretty much keeping it the same with paved driveway entrance. To manage the stormwater, as I mentioned, there's a net reduction in impervious, so there's no capacity provided, there's no subsurface infiltration system needed. But what we're proposing to do is implement 2 water quality units with graded inlets at low points in the new looped area that will capture stormwater runoff. It will treat it for floatable hydrocarbons like oil and gas, and the sediment will drop out to the bottom, and the clean water will be discharged to the existing drainage system on site. We're also relocating a hydrant as part of the project. And implementing, as you can see in that hatched area, there's sidewalk proposed around the new looped access drive. The hatch to the left a little?
to the
To the
left.
left, yeah, see that, right to the left?
Sorry.
right there, like that whole little hashed
Oh,
area
got
is sidewalk
Yeah.
to provide pedestrian connections adjacent to Loop Road and provide a pedestrian path to the main access door as well as a service door over to the right. So the pedestrian connection that exists will be maintained. And as I mentioned, there is a net reduction in impervious surface, which is important for the project. At this time, I'd like to open it up to board members for discussion and questions.
Okay, thank you. John or Eileen?
Sure, I'll take this one. So this is filed as a notice of intent because it's in the riverfront area. It's also being reviewed under the Burlington Stormwater Bylaw. So it is a redevelopment project because the site is degraded. So what they're proposing with a reduction in impervious surface is a clear improvement. I do have questions about the proposed stormwater management. It seems to me there's an opportunity to use LID. There's a large vegetated area in the middle where possibly some stormwater could be routed for, a rain garden or something like that. And that the proposed BMPs are 450I inlet storm scepters, which are not rated highly. The DEP and EPA basically consider them catch basins, the equivalent TSS removal of a catch basin. So I don't think those are acceptable. If LID isn't possible, I think the storm scepters would need to be upgraded to something other, bigger and not an inlet storm scepter.
Okay, you mentioned that the stormwater water quality units have similar levels of TSS removal to catch basins, but the DEP gives catch basins a removal rate of just 25%, whereas we provided calculations from Storm Scepter indicating that these remove 90% of TSS.
450I inlet?
Yes. For small areas, remember, this is a very small impervious area, only a few thousand square feet. Maybe for larger areas, they're not well-suited, but I think for this application, it's entirely applicable. We use them very commonly on projects.
So the documentation is from who?
Storm Scepter.
Right, so we basically rely on the New Jersey's DEP stormwater evaluations of BMPs, which is what the Mass DEP recommends.
Sure, the NJCAT.
Yeah, so if you can provide more documentation,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine. Yep, we can.
It may be that they work much more efficiently at a small volume, but with a large volume of water, maybe that model doesn't do very well.
Well, remember, I mean, we're talking a few thousand square feet, and there's 2 of those units.
I don't know if that's the case, I'm just saying, I could picture how, because basically usually they bypass with large volumes of water.
That's true. It depends on what you define as a large volume of water. The tributary area for these are just a few thousand square feet each. Some of the larger units that Storm Scepter makes can take acres of area.
but they're also designed to be offline, not inlet storm scepters, so.
That's true. That is true. That's why the only one that has an inlet is this smallest unit, the 450i.
Okay,
So
anyway.
I think it's appropriate, we can provide additional documentation.
Yeah, okay, we'll get there. All right, anything else? You have that one item on the 450I and the use of LID.
That's it.
That's it? All right, Bill, do you want to start off, anything?
Sure. I see the 2 water quality units on the drawing, and they both connect to a drainage manhole. I don't see where it further goes. How does that then connect to the other existing system?
It's a long way. It ties into the existing stormwater on site, the existing stormwater system on site. And then you can see to the left in grayscale, there's a drain manhole, and it continues flowing left from there. I need to do some research where it ultimately ends up, but my understanding was that we're reducing the net impervious. And so there's, less water flowing to the system now, or under proposed conditions than there is now.
Okay, and And that drain manhole is existing?
That's proposed, to be tied into an existing large diameter drainage trunk.
Which is directly under it?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And the only other question I had, I was looking at your planting plan and stuff, is, do you have any idea how much of the plants you're putting in are native plants? A lot of them are
If you wouldn't
cultivars.
mind scrolling down, I think it's the second to last sheet, L 101. You'll see it, there's a lot of plantings proposed, I think it's past these details.
Oh, more further. Oh,
I think it's past this, and it's all the way.
come on, Ali.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be beautiful, but I'm just curious.
Oh, you know what, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's the end. I think I've gone too far.
Yeah, I think it's,
No, that's okay. I'll go up and then zoom back in when we find the right one.
one more up.
Sorry, what, 101?
Yep, up
L101.
one more.
Here we go.
There we go. If you could just zoom in on
Yeah,
that table,
will do.
that'll give
Oh,
us
the
an
table?
answer.
You want the table? Yes.
Love a good table.
Oh, well, that makes
As you
sense.
can see, if you could just zoom up on the landscape plan real quick. Sorry.
Oh, you want back up on the plan?
Yeah, I just want to show how much plantings we're using.
Yep,
There is a significant amount. As you can see, as I mentioned, there's a lot of plantings in that center landscaped island. Then there's more on the right-hand side near the sidewalk. There's more on the left, sort of used as screening. And there's 3 existing trees that will remain in front of the building on the left-hand side. That just gives you an idea of, you know, how, the area that we're planting. It's pretty significant. And then if you don't mind scrolling down to that table, so if, on the left-hand side, your question was about native plantings. On the left-hand side, you'll notice there's a column with asterisks, which denote, they denote the native species. So the ones that have asterisks are native, the other ones are not. But we did have a professional
they?
landscape architect, you know,
oh, yeah,
thoroughly put together a good list of plants.
yeah, several are cultivars though. Sorry, what? They're not straight natives, they're cultivars.
What's that?
These ones here? If it says something like that ilex is a cultivar, and the Ilex glabra shamrock,
Right,
They're all-
that was
all
my comment as well, is that most of them are cultivars, they're not the original native plant.
Mm-hmm.
They're all an offshoot called sky pencil or shamrock. So they're not truly native species, but not the particular cultivar.
Okay, maybe there was some confusion there on my landscape architect's behalf. I'm not a landscape architect, I don't pretend to know very much about plants, just enough to be dangerous. That's something that we can look at.
Yeah, where possible, we'd like to see a true native, if it can be arranged and you can source the material.
Yeah, that's part of the issue too, is sometimes just the availability and sourcing plants is, I know is difficult. We try to get ones that we believe that we can find and install at the site.
Got it. Okay, those are my comments, thank you.
We can review that, thank you for that.
So
All
one
right.
thing to keep in mind about the plantings, I mean, I'm all for natives. All those plantings are outside the riverfront area.
Oh, that's true.
Well, most of the riverfront area is in pavement.
Right.
Okay, Indra, anything?
Yeah, how much area is there inside that loop, the pervious area?
How much pervious area is in that
wow.
that landscaped area?
Correct.
I'm not sure right off the top of my head.
Do you want to measure it?
I see
Give 'em a
that you are providing trees and shrubs, probably about 50% of that area, correct?
Sure.
And other 50% of what you're gonna do, just leave it?
Oh, well, there's existing landscaping that's there at the front. You can see there's a tree in there. I don't know what else is in there, but I'm assuming that there's more existing landscaping along Loop Road, and that's why we didn't have to propose anything there. The area, the cluster that we're proposing in the middle was previously a parking lot. So when we convert it to landscaping, we need to plant that out. But the area closer to Loop Road is already grass and trees.
In here?
Correct. Yeah, you can see that tree right where your cursor is, right there.
There is a tree there, yeah. And some grass, yeah.
Yeah. I believe that was the intention, to keep the existing landscaping and infill at areas that didn't previously have landscaping.
Indra, anything else?
No,
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you for your comments. Kent, anything further? Rob, anything further? Okay. Okay, I guess, well, let me see if, I don't have anything specific over what's been said. Anybody in the audience who would like to make a comment on the proposed project for Beth Israel Leahy Health to construct a new driveway by the Oncology Department? Okay, so what I heard is that our administrator pointed out that obviously if you designed the center area to use as a LID, then you would obviate the need for even less water going into a storm scepter. Do you think that might be possible, or you could take a look at it?
I can take a look, yes, and I can review with our design team, yes.
Okay. And you're gonna give us some documentation on the 450I,
Correct.
and we'll see, we'll have to come to closure on whether it is appropriate. And we'd like to know where the pipe ends up. I'd like to know if the pipe eventually discharges into Vine Brook.
Okay.
Okay, it may go out to the street, but I'm just curious if it's a direct discharge, which would tell us that we want to make sure we're in agreement on the storm scepter,
Yep,
particularly if that's the case.
understood.
And although the majority of the planting area is, or if not all of it, is outside the 200-foot riverfront, if your landscape architect could take a look at shifting some of the plants to more pure native plants for this area.
Pure native, yep. Yep,
Okay?
I think that's fair.
At least shift it in that direction. Okay? And see what that person could come up with. Okay, is there anything else that you ever think you have to respond to? Okay, so I got 4 items.
I think that covers it.
Oh, and, one more thing. Are you using any existing catch basins at all in the area? Or they're all new?
For the project, it's just the 2 new ones.
Just the 2 new ones, okay, all right. Okay, that's all I have, so I guess you're going to, you'd like to be on the next meeting for May 11th? That sound right? Or would you like to go to May 25th?
May 11th works.
All right, so therefore, could I have a motion to continue this public hearing for Beth Israel Leahy Health to the commission's meeting of May 11th, 2023? Is there such a motion?
So moved, Rob?
Second?
Second, Kent?
All right. Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
yes.
And the chair votes yes. This hearing is continued until May 11th, 2023 meeting of the commission. One question, somewhat unrelated. Yeah, I don't know if you know. Is the athletic strip that goes beyond the roadway, they used to have like a exercise path. Is that being maintained as an exercise path, or it's pretty much abandoned? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Do you know where I'm talking about?
No, I don't, and I've been out to the site many times.
If you head from that area.
Yep,
And you go towards the district, you come into a stream, but before you get to a stream, there was a path at one time,
Yep.
right along there. And at one time, Beth Israel Leahy Health said that they were going to continue to maintain it. However, the last time I was there, which was some time ago, it was being maintained by letting a good deal of poison ivy grow there. So I was wondering if they are maintaining it, or they've abandoned it, or, I mean, I suppose I could go take a look at it. Could you think you can check into it with the grounds management?
Yeah, I have to, this is brand new to me, so I'd have to review and.
It was an exercise path
And
that
get
goes
back.
perpendicular to Mall Road.
Okay.
Goes right along the whole length of the stream.
Yep,
You know, it's a sort of above the stream, because the elevation is kind of above the stream.
right. I don't know anything about
Also,
that.
will you be out there probably in the next week or two? Maybe you could just take a look.
Okay, fair enough.
And you could, maybe you can then talk to them about it.
Okay.
I would like to get sort of some feedback from you folks on what their intent is.
Okay. All right, we can look into it.
Larry, just before David sits down, is it okay if I just point out one thing? That not only do our wetlands bylaw regs, but our stormwater bylaw does talk about must consider and unless infeasible, propose and implement LID best management practices. So admittedly, this is a redevelopment, so it's not always the same. Just, you know, what is the best
So
that can be done?
so is it, the language say for redevelopment should be considered? Is that what it's saying?
We don't call it out how it should be different between new development and redevelopment, so I think it's just a question of best practicable.
Okay, well, it's encouraged at the very least.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll get us back some information on what can be done there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I think we're done for today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
All right, next on our agenda,
Oh, no.
we have a continued public hearing. This is 78 Mountain Road, Mr. Kenneth Gillis. He is constructing a new residential dwelling on Mountain Road, DEP file number 122-687. Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you folks
Yeah.
doing today?
Oh,
Doing well on
let me
yourself?
check.
Good, good.
I think I did.
Yep, the sun came out, so it's good.
Back in. Little sprinkle today.
Just before we start, can I just check to make sure I actually sent on all the fresh stuff we got in just today or last night for this? I think I did. Did I? Did you all receive?
Depends what we got,
Alternative analysis.
Yeah, it was a landscaping plan?
we
Yeah.
got the alternatives.
Okay, yeah,
Landscape.
yes.
And we got additional, we got the letter, and we
Yeah.
got a picture and a plan. I got all this stuff here.
Okay. I think John was just second guessing me.
Yeah, and we have a planting plan. Planting plan we got.
Yes, we did. Yep.
We got the alternative analysis.
Yep.
So I think we got 4 things. Yeah. Okay,
Well,
so.
today was 2 and a few days ago was another maybe 3. Yeah.
Monday
All
was
right, would
3,
you like
yes.
to talk about what you've sent in and describe to us?
Yes, we had a laundry list of items from our last meeting, and I believe we furnished everything that was asked for.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. All right, so what I have on the list is, I'll go down the list that I have. Alternative analysis, you sent that in. It needed to be more specific, if I remember correctly.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, okay, and it certainly looked lengthier.
Yeah, Leah did that one.
Yeah.
I did the first one.
Okay,
I've never done one before.
all right, well, good try, sir. Then the next one is planting proposal. Did we?
Yeah, planting
Yeah, we got
plan.
that. And driveway grading on the left. We were looking at the grading and of the driveway, if I remember correctly, not going to your neighbor's property.
Yes, we created a swale.
You did create a swale.
We did, yes.
I thought you would do that. That's what I thought you'd do. Okay, yeah, and,
Swales tucked in there?
and need to reduce runoff, because it does not meet the regulation for decreased runoff in a 100-year storm?
All right.
Was that done?
Yeah, he redid his calculations,
But we didn't receive any
and
paper.
those were sent along on Monday as well.
All right, so you hit the fourth, oh, and the fifth one was the water on the neighbor's property, but that has, maybe
That's
that,
part of the swale.
that was part of the swale thing?
Yes. yeah.
Okay, so that was 4.5 items I had. Okay. All right, so we're good there. So Eileen or John, do you have some comments at all?
Do you want to talk about the stormwater thing first?
Oh, I had a question just about the stormwater. When I went through the stormwater report, I was seeing all the numbers of the various counts for infiltration bed 1 and 3, but I didn't see it for infiltration bed 2. So either I missed something
On a new
or
plan?
it was missing. No, on the actual stormwater report.
On the report.
So either can you clarify that now because I misunderstood, or, and if not, we will need that. Here, take that so that you know what I'm actually asking.
So which one you missing?
Um,
5?
I think it's number 2. Oh, yes, it is, but it was infiltration bed 2. It was the, yes,
2.
so whatever that is,
I don't have
Yeah.
a copy of that.
well, I have it on,
I got it on email.
I have it on here. Stormwater report.
So what are you looking for exactly, Eileen?
Didn't bed 2 get eliminated because you made the other ones?
Well, according to the thing that I just gave you,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there. It's only circled because I questioned it. That diagram is still in
The
this.
fifth
So
test pit,
maybe,
yeah.
again, no, it's not the test pit, no. It's the actual, where do I find it? The actual, what do you call it? Track. What do you call it when there's a? I'm sorry, a subcatchment, post-development subcatchment.
So
So
subcatchment
a
number 2?
subcatchment, yes,
Okay.
subcatchment number,
That's what I was trying to understand.
whatever that is, 2S, post-development, no, 3S, it's 3S is, so what happened to the infiltration? Did I just miss something? Is somebody else talking? Okay,
I don't think so.
All right, so why don't we put it on the list as subcatchment number 2, infiltration, question mark, and we'll
yeah,
take a look at it, okay?
okay.
All right, that's easy. Anything else, folks?
Yeah, can I share?
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
So, one thing I missed on the site plan, which is on there, but it's hard, not easy to see. I noticed when I looked at the aerial of the lot, so, I'm sharing it now, hopefully. Oh, okay. So,
2.
if you look at the lot is highlighted in blue, and the lot lines on this are actually a little off, as you can tell, because it looks like part of the adjacent property is actually on the lot, or part of the adjacent structure. So the lot line actually is shifted to the left. But if you look at the rear, the bottom of the lot, or it's the rear of the lot from the street, the bottom of the lot on this plan, there's a lot of area in the riverfront that is degraded. It's currently being used, it looks like, as a contractor's yard, but it's part of this lot, and it's in the inner riparian of the Little Brook. So that area should be restored as mitigation for all the cutting and alteration of the riverfront where the house is going.
I believe the poles are in that area,
What is?
What's?
the power line poles.
Well, yeah, you could still plant, I mean, I know you can't plant trees, but you can
That's-
still
that's-
plant vegetation, shrubs or whatever.
Yeah, we
And
tried
that-
that.
That's the closest part to the stream,
Tried it?
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that lot line on that side is parallel to the stream.
Okay. Okay. So we'd need a plan for that, wouldn't we?
Right, planting plan, restoration plan.
John, this is Bill. Did you also say in something you sent in writing that that lot may not be zoned for that type of a use?
Right. So, yeah, it's a residential lot, and it's a IG, general industrial use.
Okay. Well, it does seem like a reasonable request considering you cut so many trees, especially from the back of the lot, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Does it go back that far, or is it right here?
anything else, John?
That's it.
All light poles are right in that.
All right, so let's go around and see if anything else crops up. Bill?
Yes, I definitely appreciate you going over the drainage and, we had some issues
Gonna
with
be
it the
asked.
last time that didn't appear to meet the requirements of reducing all of the numbers that needed to be reduced, and now it does with the significant infiltration units, that's not the correct term, but I appreciate the effort that was done there, and it looks like that will improve the drainage situation. Same question that I had for the previous applicant was, you are talking about putting in some arborvitaes, and again, I would encourage those to be a native strain if possible and not a cultivar. The native strains can get, 30 feet tall, and that would be a good screen and sort of help to replace some of the shade that the cutting of trees had compromised, so. See if that's something that's available. That's all I had, thank you.
Okay. All right, Indra?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, thank you, sir. Kent?
No, as Bill noted, the drainage is a drastic improvement, so definitely appreciate that. And, I think, is there any, requiring the planting stuff, is there any, season you have to, you'd have to, so they don't die, like the trees or any of the,
We can add that in.
okay.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it would probably be fall plantings, depending upon how quickly this gets approved.
You'd need the same thing on the additional restoration you're talking about too, like a couple of seasons, okay, all right, that's all I have.
Okay. Rob?
No, I don't have too much to add.
Okay, take a look at your drawing. Okay.
I guess I have just sort of like an inexperienced question. I was looking at the site plan. So right here we have the mountain road, there's the bit berm, the curb. And I was just wondering, there's like the bold line that covers the front of the property. Is that from the setback from the edge of the road? I realize there's no sidewalk. Is that that bold line that sort of cuts across, is that like the town?
That's the lot line.
The easement, sort of like the.
It's the right of way.
town-
That's the street right away.
You mean here where I'm just,
Yeah, I was just sort of that's like the.
Yeah, so that's their lot line. with
That's the
right
lot
of
line, the right of way is further into the roadway.
Yeah, I was just looking at the,
Could you also blow up that plan, particularly for the left side of the left lot line, quite a bit?
yeah? Okay,
Quite a bit more.
What would you like?
Yeah.
And while she's doing that, I just want to point out, I did research the lot. The lot was created well before 1996, the passing of the Rivers Protection Act. So it is a lot that pre-existed the Rivers Act.
What's the implication of that?
If it were afterwards, you could deny the project, basically, conceivably. But if it's a lot that pre-existed, you have to allow them to build with, doing as little alteration in the riverfront as possible, trying to keep it under 5,000 square feet, just clearing around the house and whatnot. But,
That wasn't done here.
well, yeah.
Was there something you wanted me to zoom in on? Or are we
Yeah, I'd
saying
like
what
to
you
look
need?
at the little bit, scroll a little bit down to the back of the lot along that page.
Oh, you mean,
No,
up?
the other way, yeah.
Right, gotcha, yep.
What is that? There is go go a little bit more. There is like a hatched line going from the beginning of the street out. What, is that the,
Do you mean this one?
yeah, no,
Oh, sorry,
right, keep going. Keep going,
back, okay.
down, no, down, down,
Yeah,
down, right there. You had it, yep, you skipped off of it.
sorry.
Is that the erosion control line?
Oh, here.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, that's the erosion control.
all right. So I guess what I wanted to ask as a question, guess it's my turn. Given that all the slopes, we've asked for some planting, but how are you realistically with the slopes sloping towards the neighbor's yard in the back?
Well, right now, the
Sorry.
neighbor doesn't get any water from that property as it,
But you removed all the trees, so now the whole thing is a different issue when you remove so many trees. And we've seen this many, many times. This is not an unusual circumstance where people didn't have water. They decided that they don't like trees for any number of reasons. They removed the trees from their yard, and it's on a slope, and their yard now is filling up because the hundreds of gallons of water are not being taken up by trees. So I want to know how you're going to prevent with the slope, how are you going to prevent water from washing onto the neighbor's property, or it might? I'm not saying it will, I can't tell you it will, but
yeah, the engineer designed a grading plan on the swale, so he took all that into consideration.
But the swale only goes where? Where is the swale on this thing? Can we go back to the plan?
Goes up the left lot line.
Yeah, I will go back. I had pulled up the,
Could you show me the swale? How far back does the swale go? It's hard to tell from,
I had pulled up the planting plan for you.
like, where does the swale go? Does it go to the back of the yard, the back of the lot?
Yeah, it's going back up to the, if you scroll up,
Yeah.
it's going right up to the
To the erosion control line?
erosion control line, yeah.
It doesn't go beyond it?
No,
So this
So-
line is representing the swale?
yeah, the swale's inside that, right on the property line. There's a retaining wall there too, that's a retaining wall, that double solid
You can
line.
go over there and point if you want. You can go over there and point.
This here is the retaining wall, right?
Feel free.
Oh, no, the existing
it
retaining
sort
wall
of the
here. he
old-fashioned way.
means. Right.
This is the retaining wall right here.
Can't see.
This is the retaining wall here.
Where's the retaining wall?
This is the neighbor's retaining wall,
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
And this is the proposed swale, well off his property, and it looks like it's going. Looks like it's going right up to here. And there's arborvitae's, which are gonna be close to this side, that are gonna be mounted up on this side, to the neighbors. So all the arborvitae's are gonna be mounted a little bit, the swale's gonna be here, and flow into these, I think this chamber in the front.
Well, I am not,
Proposed infiltration bed 3 right here.
yeah,
So all
I'm not, okay,
The proposed swale is gonna go right into this bed.
sure.
Oh, it is.
Proposed 3, yeah.
So I'm wondering whether further back you need just, maybe,
Yeah, so this line, this solid line right here, that's the swale line right there.
all right. So you don't, I'm just wondering whether you need the swale to go further back, much further back, to take up any water at all that might be flowing in that direction. You have some steep slopes. I just think you're gonna get water onto your neighbor's property now that you have no more trees on it, and you're gonna have just new plantings.
Is there a detail of the swale? I don't remember seeing one. Is there?
I believe there is.
Oh, there is? Is there a
I
detail?
don't have a paper copy.
Because it's I wasn't clear how wide it is or how deep it is. But maybe.
John?
again.
Right,
Can I ask you a question here?
And I forget the
If,
plans from
you
Staples.
look at the slopes,
About you
and
two
if you're
plan,
looking
me
at the
plan.
plot plan,
Yeah, we don't have
do
any
you have
paper
the same
copies.
concern I do, or do you think, you know, from a technical point of view, we're okay as far as water running off onto the next property?
I mean, I think a properly constructed swale would intercept any water flowing off the property.
But the swale goes as far as here, and the steepest grades are back here.
Right, so it's flowing towards the street. And the swale,
Well, it's sort of flowing towards the
well,
street.
it's flowing like upper right to lower left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think the water will flow and get caught by the swale as designed, or does the swale need to go further back?
No, I think,
As the further you get back, the lower the property goes, it starts dropping down.
Well,
Where the swale ends is the highest point.
so the swale goes as far as these grades right here? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just about the Eversource easement there, the beginning of the easement, the Eversource easement,
I see, okay.
where it kind of,
It seems to stop right at this 140.7 elevation line, right? That's what I'm seeing?
yeah, just a little bit past it.
I don't know.
Close to the end
It's
of
right
the,
about 140.5,
close to the end of the erosion controls.
140.7. It starts creeping up.
140.5. There's no indication that the swale is extending that further.
it's not on this plan. I don't have a paper
But it's
copy
right
of
here,
it.
he says it ends right here. So this water's going like this, and it ends right here. It's not up here, swale. This is not the highest point, it's the lowest point.
Would he even be allowed to put a swale onto the,
I was just thinking of surface water flowing.
Yes, it's not a planting.
He should, yeah.
They're not proposing to do any work there, though, so whatever goes.
Goes down, except there's no trees there now. I guess, to be honest, I'm not sure how big of a problem it is, to be honest with you. So,
But I would like to get a better idea of the depth of the swale, just so we know what we're talking about. Are we talking about 2 feet and 4 inches?
well,
or-
I would like to suggest you at least consider the merit of extending the swale further. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, because I'm not sure how big of a problem it is, but. Okay?
Filtration bed two's right there. Oh, he said
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
no, it's not. I said on the stormwater report,
On the report.
yeah, where it went through the details of all the numbers.
Yep.
You know, at the 2-year storm, the 10-year storm, et cetera.
Yep.
It was just missing. But maybe it was for a good reason.
All right,
I have one more drainage question, this is Bill, if I can ask it.
please do.
These chambers, the 3 chambers, or maybe there's only 2 now, we're gonna figure that out, but they're underground chambers. How does the water get into them? Are there catch basins, or are there pipes coming from the rooftop? I mean, how does the water get into these storage basins?
The roof is all piped into the chambers.
Okay. But is it collecting something other than rooftop? And if so, how so?
The engineer that designed it.
He was also, they also described some catch basins, like yard drains in the
Trench
yard.
Yeah, trench drains.
Well, no, it said that they were like, more like yard drains, taking some of the yard, which may not be necessary.
Yeah, so bed number 3 will be a catch basin type cover on top of it.
Okay. So that's in the front corner there, well, that's.
Bed number 3
And
is
that
this one.
collect from the driveway, and number 1 will be from the rooftop.
Yep.
So, and number 2, you said may not exist now?
Well, the
They're
stormwater reports,
It's on the report, but I
This-
don't see it on the
Yeah.
plan, the stamp plan.
really? The stormwater report says the front part of the house is going into
It's
one.
plan.
Yeah, number
It's
2
on
is
the plan, it's in the
it's just
back.
not on the
Yeah, and it
stormwater.
said that the back of the house was going into number 2. But I couldn't find the details for 2. Sorry, what?
Okay,
Back roof is going into
Yes,
number 2?
yeah, that's what I think the word said.
okay, so they're gonna check on the existence of the infiltration area for number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to help me understand exactly what's going into it and how it's getting in, I appreciate that.
Okay. All right, and my suggestion was you should at least consider extending the swale a little further. But I'll leave it up to you. Okay, you with us now?
Yep.
All right, so, any other commissioners have any other comments based on what you've heard?
No.
All right, anybody in the audience at all would like to comment on 78 Mountain Road? Or online? All right, so, it's Joe, right?
Yes.
Joe, so here, let's make sure we're all on the same page. Ready?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna look into the infiltration of subcatchment number 2, clarify it. A planting plan for the back of the lot, as discussed.
That's the gravel part.
Right,
Down
the back of the house lot that goes into the,
You planted 50 abrevieties back down there?
Yeah, so he had planted 50 abrevieties, how many years ago? 10 years ago, and Eversource just keeps, they wipe them out, whatever's in their
Yeah,
path, they spray.
they tend to do what they
You can
want.
see what they're doing now in town, they're going through, they're whacking everything
I know,
in the easement.
I know it.
That's their aggressive plan, and,
That's their vegetation management.
yeah. So, and when they're not cutting as much brush as they are, they're spraying.
Right,
So I think the spray's every year.
really, okay. So the second thing is well, let's take a look at what's needed back there to have we need some, what I heard our administrator say is we need a compensation plan, a planting plan for all the trees that you took down, and that's part of your lot. Okay, so why don't you take a look at it and see what you come up with. Next is
Outside of that planted plan I submitted,
that correct, John? Outside of what they submitted?
Supplementing that.
Yeah, supplementing that. And then the next thing is native plants. Some of them that were submitted weren't native, is that correct?
I don't know if that's
Yes,
correct.
by cultivar.
What, on this one or on the previous one? Because Leah's
Oh.
pretty good about that, right?
I don't know, it just,
I think we might be getting mixed up with Leahy possibly.
Well, you can check it. We kind of sort everything out here.
The abrevieties listed on this one were a cultivar.
Oh, we did talk about arborvitae's, you did say that, Bill.
And you wanted to know what exactly is going into the infiltration basin, Bill? Was that another item?
Yes.
Okay.
or how it's going into the.
Or how it's going?
How it's getting there, just what's being captured and how it's being done.
All right. And are we all set with the alternative analysis, Eileen or John?
yes.
Yeah.
So the arborvitae are not, on the most recent version of the planting plan are not cultivars, it just says arborvitae, so.
So what does that mean?
Lot line C
Specific cultivar
plan.
Somewhere on the planting plan.
Plan, let's pull up the plan again.
Version 3 does not list a cultivar.
Version
It means it's a native species.
Okay.
Fine.
All right, is there anything else to add to the list? I don't want to send these folks away. They want to finish up here with
The
this.
arborvitae's are fine.
As long as they are full native, as it seems to say, yes.
All right. is
They're
there
not
anything-
easy to find. I mean, if you go to most nurseries, arborvitae's are gonna be cultivars.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that we want to add to the list for these folks to respond to? All right. Do you think it's possible if they submit the stuff ahead of time quickly, we could close at the next meeting possibly? All right, so if you get the material to us quick enough to give them time and the commission's time to look at it,
And the next meeting's May 11th.
yeah, the next meeting is May 11th. Could I have a motion to continue this hearing for 78 Mountain Road to the May 11th meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission?
So moved, Indra.
Second.
Second, Ken?
Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. This hearing for 78 Mountain Road by 500
Yeah,
is
do
continued to
because,
May 11th.
Yeah, because it's That was clear, that's just the one that wasn't, okay?
Okay, we need to move along here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Changes to the link. Oh, yes.
All right, next. We have two related continued public hearings. I'd like to deal with both of them at the same time. Request for amendment to the order of conditions and wetland bylaw for the district by NEEP Investor Holdings LLC in care of National Development, DEP file number 122-537, and a continued hearing, notice of intent. The other one was a request for an amendment. This is a notice of intent for 1200 and 1700 District Ave. The same principles involved is to construct, I think, 2 lab buildings, I think it is, and 1 parking structure, and make improvements to landscape and utilities.
You want to share? Yep, absolutely.
So, folks, thank you for waiting all this time. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us back. I believe Mark Vaughn is joining, he's on the Zoom, but I'm not sure if he's able to actually join us, so he usually does our nice preamble
Let's
for us.
do a shout out. Mark, are you there?
I think he's here, but he may not be able to unmute, I'm not sure.
I am here, and I am just coming out of a hearing in another town, so I'm joining remotely right now, Mr. Chairman and board members. I apologize, I can't be here in person, but, just very brief, I'm gonna have Katie speak, but obviously we gave a pretty detailed presentation at your last meeting, at which time you could obviously give us a few items to come back and provide a little bit more detail on, which I think we have. So, rather than have it be disjointed, I think it might be best if Katie could just kind of apprise what we've responded to. And I think the hope was to be able to just reach closure tonight, which I don't think we had a lot of items to really go over from the last meeting. And I do want to thank the members of the commission who did come out and walk the site. We had a pretty lengthy site walk, I know, with members of the planning board and other town officials. So I thought that was very helpful, and thank you all for doing that. So, but Katie, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, it's, I can't say it's nice to see you, but it's nice to hear you.
No, and I absolutely echo those comments. Appreciate members of the commission coming to our site walk a few weeks ago now. It was a nice windy day, but at least we had some sunshine. Very productive process, I think, to have both members of the commission and the planning board participate together. So we appreciate that. I think it was just very helpful to our process and the project. Like Mark mentioned, I think I'll get right to it. We have a few things to address and to follow up on from our last discussion. I think we were hopeful kind of a few weeks back that we might be at a point to close the work towards a closing if possible tonight. But I think in talking with John and Eileen, it may make some sense, given that we're still working through our process with the planning board, to make sure that there's nothing else that might be slightly amended or changed that might come out of that process and just, would then require us to come back again. So I think we're hopeful that we'll hear all of your kind of any remaining comments or thoughts, and then, look to continue tonight, come back one more time, hopefully, once we've worked through the final phases with the planning board. So I think we can jump right into it. Eric, I don't know if you're going first or Chris, I can't remember now, but I'll pass the mic over. But I do want to one last thing. I just wanted to mention that I think one of the items was to make sure we were up to date with our reporting on inspections of the existing catch basins. I think we have everything in place with you guys. I know we are doing the next round of inspections and cleanup as part of our sort of spring cleanup, and that's scheduled for May. That's the news from our property management team out there. So if there's any open items there, please let us know and we'll make sure to address them.
Well, on that one, you folks were going to either do an inventory and, was it to check on the integrity of these catch basins?
So they've got all of that work scheduled for May. So they plan to
That's
go out,
fine. That's
inspect,
certainly fine.
it's kind of in keeping with the sort of spring cleanup program that they do out in
And
the
are they
district.
going to have a professional qualified to do that inspection?
Yes, I think 100% yes, and they will make sure to properly do the reporting, which I think one thing we had been falling down on maybe over the years previously is that we weren't doing that reporting correctly. I think we've figured it out, and we will be doing that correctly going forward with
So
the right.
we can check this one off the list.
I
It
think we
sounds
can
like
check this one off the list, but we'll make sure to check in with John and Eileen to ensure that we meet all the standards.
All right. Obviously, if there is a problem with any of the integrity of the catch basins, you would have to come up with a remediation plan
Remediation
for
plan,
that
yeah.
particular
Yep.
item.
And that's all documented through the reporting system. So I think we're hopefully back on track to be doing this the right way. And Alan Luchu, that lead property manager, noted that this, inspection is scheduled to start in May. So we can certainly follow back up once it's done.
Just to confirm or to repeat, I definitely got a whole batch of reports from them last August, and we had a meeting with a dozen people on the call, and they went through what they were doing. So I'm not sure they had done a full inspection of catch basins, but I'm perfectly happy with where they are in terms of paperwork, at least, for catch basin cleaning.
Well, paperwork's important too.
The process, I'm happy with the process.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Eric Gerard, Civil Engineer, Project Manager with VHB. I think we can skip over the essential permit process of where we're at. And just kind of jumping in, just to remind, the proposed amendment to the existing order of conditions on site is primarily related to these two hatched green areas related to the Building A area, which was the former 5/5 office, as well as the Brook Walk, the Vine Brook Walk pathway to construct that. So part of that, just to refresh on the Vine Brook path, showing the existing limits of the path and then the proposed limits. So Chris, I don't know if you want to expand as far as kind of the new pieces along the path that we're considering, essentially.
Yeah, just quickly, we had a really productive, Chris Jones, IBI Group, landscape architect. We had a really productive first meeting, subcommittee meeting with the planning board. And one of the comments to the Vine Brook path that they were interested in including was some low-level bollard landscape lighting. And so we've are working to coordinate the incorporation of about a 50-foot on center. It's not really intended to light from photometrics, but more of a guide when it's darker out or it might be a little dimly lit. It's more of a wayfinding component. And fortunately enough, we can take the existing pedestrian and parking lot lights that we've been using. They have a bollard version, so we'll have a sort of a consistent type of fixture at a low level. And that's the primary add, as well as we're going to incorporate some wayfinding signage that will occur along the path that not only takes you to the path, but also becomes a marker of identifying the overlooks and other measured distances along the path. So that's probably the biggest update since we last met with you.
We also, does the commission have anything further comment on that first?
No.
I talked a little bit last time about sort of a marked pathway cutting across. Is any part of what you said an enhancement to that, cutting across the district towards the mall at all?
Is that plan in there?
Do we have the full connectivity?
I don't in this deck. I can probably bring it up.
It will be, the wayfinding will be a part of making the connections to the mall. So we're doing a full campus wayfinding that's related to the pedestrian circulation, both.
Is that new since last time, since we talked?
Yeah, we're putting that together right now for our next subcommittee and planning board meeting. So there will be a diagram highlighting where those moments will occur, whether they're signage at the mall connection specifically saying this way to Vine Brook or et cetera, whatever, this way to District Ave.
Is there any differential in the pathway going across the district from the path along the brook coming out towards the mall? Is there any differential that you're looking at for surface material?
All the walkways on campus will be typically concrete sidewalks, but once you make your way to the Vine Brook Trail, it becomes the stone dust or pervious material. So, is there another comment on that? I'm trying to think.
I don't think so.
Oh, I did have one. Listening to previous comments of the other applicants, I'm going to go back and double check to make sure we're using straight natives in this area versus anything with cultivars, so we'll make sure that happens.
Thank you. Can I just mention something, Larry?
Yes.
Well, it was two things. One, I was listening to the planning board when you presented the last time, and you actually gave a couple of shout outs to Larry.
I did.
This Larry, because he mentioned, there were things that Larry mentioned, and we have now incorporated.
Was
so-
that why my ears were ringing?
Yes. But one of them, I'm not sure if it was a Larry thing, sorry, but you also mentioned, I think you were, it's not a huge thing for us, I just wanted to add, you actually had switched something to a pervious pavers, I think.
Oh, we had, we
Which is
did
just a nice
at
additional feature.
Building A, where the roadway occurs, we were gonna use pervious paving to highlight that as a pedestrian zone, but also to create more permeability in that heavily paved area.
What is that, after the end of the green zone on the right-hand side, at the upper part of the drawing, there is like a, what is that white part that extends from the parking garage heading towards the mall? What is that?
Oh, the little passageway, the paseo, is that what you're talking
Is that
about?
the paseo?
Yeah, that, between the two buildings, is that what you're referring to, between the garage and the new
Like,
building?
I can see it right here. From the parking garage, there's a white part that comes out at an angle and then heads towards the mall a bit. Is that a building or?
Which garage?
Well, you can go over there, certainly.
Here?
No, higher up.
Here?
Nope. Higher, higher, higher.
It's a building.
To the right, down, right there, that's.
That's
Oh, that's
building.
building 800.
Oh, that is,
Existing
that,
building.
well, that's a building, not a pathway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the,
That'd
so,
be a big cut.
sorry, I can't like quite point in, but the Vine Road path is here, the extension occurs here, we made a connection through,
Right,
which does not exist today.
right.
That brings you, that will, allow people to be in the Vine Road path and then traverse into a sidewalk that doesn't exist, and connects you to the existing sidewalk in front of 800, and sort of make that meaningful connection back through the new
Got it,
project.
okay.
And then
Got it.
you asked about connections through the mall. We have the existing two connections that were put in place as part of phase 1, phase 2. We're putting more definition around the 600 connection that sort of exists, but could use a little help. And then the Paseo that Chris was talking
Right, got it. All right, I have down here a note that you were going to provide a narrative on the pipe going into the stream.
Correct. So that, next on my list, on the top of the page here, I'm highlighting that there were two pipes going in. One of them is has temporary impacts to the bank. So we provided that narrative with the exhibits to accompany that. So we are showing those, and we slightly tweaked the angle of those pipes. So now they're exactly on top of the existing pipes. If we get out there and those pipes are okay, we'll just reuse those pipes. Otherwise, we still just wanted to make sure we had them called out to get replaced if needed and capture those impacts. So I believe it was 13 linear
Eileen, are
feet.
you all set with that? And John?
Honestly, I hadn't even noticed, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
But I think we're fine with that.
Yeah, that was in the letter, the response to
Yes.
comments
Okay.
dated
Yeah.
April 21.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I got it right here, okay, all right. Yep. Okay, and next, cover that one. Something about a riverfront analysis here. Riverfront, something, have the word degraded. Does anyone know what?
Yeah, I think it came up last time where alternatives analysis was asked, and being that it was completely degraded under existing conditions, it's not required under the regulations.
It's not, so we're all set there.
Correct.
So I have a note about increasing 15,000 square feet of pervious area.
Correct.
Is there anything needed, more detail on that at all?
Nope.
Are we all set?
So I think we're getting into, I guess, the full NOI, how we want to divide up the presentation, I guess. So we had the amendment and then moving it to B and C.
Okay.
So I just wanted to,
All right.
how do you want to handle it?
That's all I had for notes, I think. That's all I have. So was there anything else that we should be aware of as a commission?
On the amendment?
Yes. Relative to the scope of both projects, when will this be done, the trail along Vine Brook?
So we're proposing,
The other one over too, if you want to.
um,
The one that's there. Sorry,
that?
I was just saying, there's another microphone
Oh,
there. if
okay.
it's easier
Thank you. I didn't
To pull it over.
think to even use that one. So we're proposing to include the Vine Brook expansion improvements as part of the whatever phase goes first, whichever building goes first, it would be part of the first phase. So that'll be conditioned of us, we assume within either here or the planning board decision.
Okay. Anybody on the commission, for the before we leave the amendment, is there anything more about the trail? Any questions at all? Okay, we can go to the full hearing on the other one.
And so moving on to the new NOI based on the buildings B and C and the garages. No new material to present, it's essentially just a recap, if you'd like us to run through it. The general work within the jurisdictional areas, the proposed parking garage, new walkways and pedestrian for the garage to the building, stormwater features, the impervious area you had mentioned, native plantings, work within the 50-foot no build, the replacement and reorg of existing pavement areas and parking lot access. That's primarily out in that parking field area, and then no proposed work within the 20-foot no disturb. Moving in, just a recap of the stormwater management design that we have out there. Proposed with surface infiltration basins, rain gardens, to provide the LID surface runoff and treatment for phosphorus and TSS, and then a series of underground infiltration basins, primarily for each building and structure. Building A, B, and C, each getting a subsurface basin, as well as the parking garage that will provide additional infiltration and the stormwater treatment required. So essentially, the project benefits, like we had mentioned before, the removal of that significant impervious area. The native plantings, as Chris mentioned, we'll take a double check to make sure that those cultivars are straight. And the significant increased plantings around the site in general with the project.
The whole thing sounds much more attractive. It really does. John or Eileen, do you have anything further on the new lab buildings in the garage?
Nothing to add. I mean, I think the stormwater management plan is great, and it'll be really good to have as a model and show other businesses and other developers how to build rain gardens.
There we go. Okay, Bill and Indra, anything further?
No, I agree that the things that have done well here in the rain gardens.
Yeah, I'm also happy to see that, with all the comments.
All right, so that's two of them happy. Kent?
I'll concur. It looks like a good project and looking to see how it turns out.
Okay, that's three happy. Rob?
Yeah, I think I'm happy too. I sort of like seeing on the right side where Vine Brook turns, even though it's not part of the path, you know, that for pedestrians, it's nice to see the sort of considering that stormwater area between the highway and the property, sort of keeping that, even though it's like not something that people would regularly see, I guess, or go to, that having that sort of area kept for, like considering that area for stormwater is really nice too.
Yeah, I think this is a very attractive project. I think you did some nice work on this. Thank you.
Just one question. So I don't see that the Board of Health has given final comments to the planning board on the special permit.
That they have not?
Yeah.
We,
Yeah, no, they have, John.
Yeah.
Oh, they just haven't been uploaded to Viewpoint. Okay. So they're okay with the drainage right there? They have no problems with the rain gardens, correct?
They did not express any concerns about the drainage design, stormwater, or the rain gardens. I mean, a lot of their focus was on the lab and life science components, and just
Right.
making sure, but, I mean, they did see the complete plan set, I know, as part of their review.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Mr. Vaughn, you were going to perhaps check with Leahy on, what were we talking about, crossing of Vine Brook? Did we?
Yeah, I did. Were they on the agenda earlier, Larry? I think they were.
They were.
They were, I forgot to ask them.
But there wasn't,
But they
there
weren't
wasn't
the-
anybody from Leahy here.
They were just the engineer though, and they really wouldn't have been aware of it. They're just doing their little driveway thing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna actually turn my camera on here now, if Ben is back at my home, I don't know if you can see me or hear me or both, but,
Well, you're quite clear. You don't have to, it's all right. We can hear you, so we don't have to see you.
Oh, there he is.
So
That sounds
short
awful.
answer to your question is, yeah, I did communicate with Leahy on that, and it sounds like their real estate folks have actually had discussions as well with Willis and Zagales in terms of, the town's initiatives that they're considering in terms of pedestrian connectivity between properties and whatnot. And they're, more than willing to continue to have that dialogue with the town. I think, look, I think as you all appreciated from the site walk that we had, being out there and, looking at the site and looking up at Leahy, there's certainly some topographical challenges that would need to be addressed and resolved as part of any connection, but Leahy's not indicated to me that they're adverse to it. I think they just need to be mindful of what their operations are. They have a, kind of a major medical facility there in terms of the emergency room, the parking, where that helipad is and all of that. So I think it would just need to all be factored into the equation in terms of how that could be accommodated. But short answer is that they're open to continuing to have a dialogue as to what could possibly happen.
All right, well, when I was out there, Mr. Vaughn, I noticed that the difference in elevation was substantially less towards the rear, near the parking garage, number one. And given the mission that Beth Israel Leahy Health does, I'd say pedestrian connectivity does have some relation to wellness, so they may be interested in that.
Understood.
Yeah, so, of course, you know that, I'm not anything. All right, thank you for having at least an introductory conversation with them, Mark.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, is there anybody online, in case I don't recognize all these initials, that anybody who wants to make a comment on either the amendment, which has mostly to do with the path enhancement along Vine Brook, and the new notice of intent? Does anyone have any comments? The new notice of intent has to do with 2 lab buildings and a garage and other improvements. I guess the record should show there was no one here for public comment on the hearing. All right, so, the only thing I heard, unless Eileen and John tell me different, is you were gonna check on how native the species were that you were proposing to plant. That was it.
Yeah.
Was there anything else anybody heard? Anything else to add to the list?
That's all I noted. CJ will make sure natives are not cultivars.
John, Bill or Indra, is there anything further we need to ask from these folks? Ken?
No.
Rob, anything? So it sounds like should we be in a position to issue
Right.
the permits?
So when we discussed whether or not they wanted to get a decision tonight, and we sort of all agreed that we'd wait for another planning board meeting, presuming there's no changes at next week's planning board meeting, we'll actually distribute drafts prior to the next meeting and be ready to close and issue next meeting.
Sounds like a plan. All right, so could I have a motion to continue the amendment to the hearing for the amendment to the Order of Conditions and Wetlands Bylaw for the District DEP file number 122-537, and the Notice of Intent Public Hearing for the 1200 and 1700 District Ave, which is to construct new lab buildings and parking, which is also DEP file number 122-686. I'd like one motion to continue both of these hearings to May 11th, 2023 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission.
So,
Indra, you got that one. You were quick that time. And the second one's Bill. All right, so could I have, Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
yes,
And the chair votes yes. Both hearings are continued to the May 11th meeting. We'll plan on wrapping it up for you at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Nice job.
I wonder who Jay Goldie is.
Okay,
Jay Goldie's very keen on being on here.
all right, now we're on administrative matters. The first one is the Vulnerability MVP grant application for Resiliency Action Plan. Eileen, is that one on you?
I suppose it is. Larry asked me to basically repeat what I said to the select board, and I have absolutely no idea what I said to the select board at this
You were
point.
very profound, though.
Oh, apparently I was.
I could call up the YouTube video and.
We could just play that. We could just play that.
That's good.
I spoke very fast. Okay, I think Larry wanted me to give a little bit more, maybe just of the background of sort of how we got there. So some of you are brand new, so you're not necessarily familiar.
That's the reason I wanted to do it.
Exactly. I get it, I think. So we've been, an MVP is Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness. It's a program with, okay, you know what the program is generally. So we have been a member of that program since 2019. We did a planning grant at that time. We got together, we had a bunch of community meetings. We came up with some priority sort of, I guess you could say, actions, just things that we really have to look at that are a big deal for us in Burlington in general, and flooding was one of those main things. So then we applied for and got our first action grant, I guess it was 2 years ago now, and then we worked on it like last year, finished it last year, which was, you were definitely here for this, Kent, which was the Vinebrook assessment. And
That was the Heat Island assessment?
Heat Island assessment and flooding in the Vinebrook area, looking at, particularly at nature-based solutions to those two problems. So that plan came, once we got that finished, we have a bunch of actions to be acted upon with that, and we haven't forgotten it. We're just continuing on now with, moving forward with the MVP planning process and trying to avail of various grants that are out there for various climate change actions, in part because there have just been so many advances in the past year or two. The state has come out with a climate assessment just in December of 4 months ago. The state has a roadmap for, I can't remember what the title is, but it's another thing about reductions of climate change related items. So our next step, we thought, would be to look at a sustainability action plan. So it would take some of the ideas of the Vinebrook assessment, in that we're going to be looking this time more broadly at the whole town. We are going to be looking at some nature-based solutions, but as I said, also more broadly in terms of our scope, we're going to be looking at different ways. First of all, identifying what are some priority actions that we can identify to combat issues that we're seeing with climate change. And those could be, so we have these 5 focus areas, and we're anticipating that these are going to, and we're going to end up with plans that relate to things like changing bylaws, enhancing our nature-based solutions, enhancing tree cover. There'll be a broad range, and it's going to be very much a community-driven process, and we need to reach out to, in particular, to some priority communities that are they're often the ones that are the first ones who are flooded and the first ones who are affected. So that is the main idea. So right now, I think I may have described to the select board that it's a very proscribed process. You have to go through a lot of hoops even to just make your application for your grant. Hence, we needed all of the support letters of support, and reaching out to the various community members, which is part of why I reached out to Indra. I sent him a letter because I'm trying to connect with the Indian Americans of Burlington and some other groups. So any questions, or did that give you guys a better background on what it is we're actually proposing?
So one thing I'd like to add, so one thing we learned from, I think, the last MVP grant came up with some really cool proposals for parcels to do LID and nature-based solutions to combat flooding and heat island effects. But unfortunately, most of the sites chosen were not sites the town controls. They were mostly on private property. And so we can't just go out and get an MVP grant to build rain gardens in the Burlington Mall. So, you know, we just can't do that. Certainly, we can take those designs, and when the Burlington Mall or Kohl's or somebody else comes in and says, you know, we want to redevelop our site, we can look back at this plan and say, well, you know, we've got some really good ideas of what you can do on there to help us, you know, solve these problems. But, you know, there's so little town-owned property down there. There's the Vinebrook treatment plant, which, once again, if the town decides to redevelop that property at some point, we've got sort of some guidelines, you know, to help us in the redevelopment of that. So this time, we're going to focus much more on properties that we control town-wide.
It also include the 5 areas being looked at. I don't know if you remember all of them, but one of them is renewable energy. Isn't that the case?
That is part of a focus, yes. Nature-based solutions and
Renewable
so
energy.
on. Renewable energy. That will be a thing. So that is likely to be maybe some of the low-hanging fruit in some ways. We can definitely get in some more electric chargers, things like that. That could end up being a relatively simple action item.
Right.
Just for example.
Right.
Renewable energy.
Solar canopies.
Buildings and infrastructure. That's 3.
I assume we do more.
She turned the health into community.
The 5 things. Oh, yes, it was going to be community resiliency or something like that, which is the kind of health and hazards one.
Right.
Where does a municipal tree planting program fall in this?
Probably under the nature and nature-based solutions.
All right, I mean, we have a lot of bare surfaces that ripe for trees.
Absolutely, but it'll probably ultimately come under some of the other foci as well, like when we're looking at buildings and infrastructure.
Is foci? Okay.
I think it's foci. You know, we might be looking at these buildings here, the town hall grouping, whatever you call them. You know, but what else can we do here in terms of even plantings? It's quite a lot of parking lot, which we do need. But
That's very good. I'll point out to the commissioners that Eileen and John have been very aggressive at getting board and committee support. I happen to catch them, you know, I turn on the Recreation Commission and there's Eileen and John. Then I turn on the Select Board and there's Eileen and John. And there's been a bunch of others.
I have cloned myself. That's
Oh, is
the
that
answer.
how it works?
Yeah, luckily I have a kid who does biotechnology, so
I
he
call
was
her
able to
Dolly.
sort that out for me. Yeah, I am
But
Dolly.
But I want to point out, they have been very aggressive at supporting the proposal by getting letters of support from them, people to sign on.
She's correct, it is foci. I looked it up.
Huh?
She's correct, that is the plural.
So,
Had to check.
so, Bill, do you have any comment on this?
No, I think it's an excellent step to take.
Okay, Indra, anything?
What did he say?
What did you say, Indra?
I said nothing, no.
Oh, that was easy, okay.
I thought he was
Thank you.
swearing at
Actually,
us.
what I have received and I saw that email, and I'll convey that into IAB.
That would be great. Thank you very much, Indra.
Authority.
Thank you.
That will be a big help. Kent, anything further on it?
No, it looks like a really good plan.
And Rob,
I think it sounds great.
are you gonna circulate the draft proposal or at some point, or is that, do you need that? You need us to look at it?
Do you mean that
You're
when
gonna
you say
submit-
proposal, do you mean the actual application, or do you mean that would go to a consultant, because we have our consultant? I'm just not sure I understood what,
I'm not sure what I mean.
oh, okay, that's all right then, I didn't
So the
misunderstand you.
application deadline is actually a week from today.
Okay,
So our consultants will be busily putting together the application.
okay, and then will there be a draft application that comes back that you might, from the consultant?
There is in the next few days, and we're gonna just be honing that, and we have to add in a whole bunch of, paperwork and resumes, and,
All right, if
All
there-
sorts
if
of
there's
things.
time, send it along. If you find that
Okay.
there's time for people to take a look at it, that's,
Okay.
that's all I'm saying.
that's great.
Fine.
Oh, are you willing to, you were probably just about to get onto that, but if you could decide whether or not to sign our letter of support, that would be great.
Oh.
Or did we already do that? No, I don't think so.
Could I have a motion for the Conservation Commission to agree to sign the letter of support for the MVP grant application for a resiliency action plan? Is there a motion?
So moved, Bill.
Second?
Second, Indra.
Okay, Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, 500. So will we all
Great,
be
thank you
signing,
all.
or will I be signing?
I think just you or Bill, whoever grabs
Whoever
this.
you want to sign,
um,
send it to us, and we'll make arrangements, and we'll come.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, we'll do that.
Whatever you want.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next is a planning board comments. Is there anything?
The district, I'll just give them an update that we're good.
Okay, subcommittee and staff reports.
I sent out a doodle for the subcommittee meeting for next week. I haven't checked to see, I'll check in the morning to see who's replied. And yeah, so if you haven't replied,
Did you
try to do
reply
it.
yet?
I haven't.
Okay, so
Okay,
try
so-
to do that. So I'll schedule a meeting sometime next week.
All right. Election of officers. Traditionally, usually either once or every other year, we reaffirm or re-elect officers for the commission. Okay, the two positions are chair and vice chair. So I am happy to see someone else do it if they feel they're qualified and the committee votes for them. So,
I would like to nominate Larry Cohen as chairman.
And I second it.
gentlemen, are you sure you want to do this?
Do you have any experience, Larry?
1991.
I'm working on it. I'm doctoring my resume, gentlemen. All right, is there any other nomination? All right, could we have a nomination on the floor for chair? Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
And I guess I'll vote for myself. Thank you, 500. All right, thank you very much, folks. Next, we need a vice chair. Is there anybody who would like to make a nomination? If not, I will.
I'll nominate Bill Boyden.
All right, is there a second?
Second, Rob.
You okay with that, Bill?
Yes, I am. Happy to do it.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else? Any other nominations? All right, we have a nomination on the floor for vice chair, Commissioner Bill Boyden. Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Bill?
Abstain.
All right. Indra?
Yes.
Okay, and the chair votes yes, 401. Okay, so congratulations, Mr. Boyden.
Thank you, same to you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you, Larry and Bill.
Thank you very much.
What a surprise.
I think it's a vote of confidence in the leadership of the commission,
I think it definitely is, yes.
and
Very lucky to have you guys.
and I thank everyone very much for that vote of confidence. All right, next, we have other business.
I reached out to Nikki yesterday.
Yes.
She responds pretty quick, so once I get a response, I'll lay it out about doing like a piece on to get another commissioner.
great, because Bill also has a possible update.
Oh, you did, okay.
I don't have a guarantee at all, but I did speak to a candidate today. And Lourdes Janeo, I got her name from Amy Warfield, the town clerk. There were several people who showed an interest in being town meeting members. And then there were votes, and in each precinct, a couple of precincts held some votes, and so the people who were not selected to be town meeting members, Amy felt had showed an interest in participating in town events, so she forwarded me their names. And I sent an email to all three of them, asking if they might be interested, and only one replied. And so I had a phone call with Lourdes today, and she seems very interested in it. She works from home and does some travel, but you know, I assured her that she could participate by phone or video or in person as her schedule permitted, and go over a brief summary of what it is we do, and that no experience is really necessary, just an interest in it and a desire to participate. And as many of us did, we learned on the job, so I knew nothing about it when I started. So hopefully she's going to digest the material I gave her today. I sent her a few references, and then she said she'd get back to me. If I haven't heard from her in like a week, I'll reach out again and see if she will make a commitment one way or the other.
Bill, what is her background, do you know? Is it physicist?
Not to my knowledge. I didn't even ask her that. She just said she works from home with occasional travel. She has 2 kids, one in middle school and one preschool. And she lives on Anna Road, which is right near the high school. So that's all I know. I didn't ask her what she does for a living.
Kent, it's good to get the information out there, though, anyway, no matter what. Make people just think of us.
She would have to talk to John, and he would introduce her name to
And
the...
it's not a done deal.
Process.
It'd be terrific if we had a waiting list.
Right, wouldn't it?
Well, you
We could have another associate.
Yeah, you get associate too.
Right.
Yeah, that lady's pretty good though. She does a good job. A good write-ups.
All right, I have one more item under other business. We have, at the selectmen's meeting, I think the commissioners saw my email I had about the capstone project by Northeastern graduate students in urban and policy planning. They finished their project. They're working ostensibly under the auspices of our Economic Development Director, Melissa Titakalis. I have provided some resource materials on behalf of the commission to help them along with their project. Their project has to do with twofold. One is a multi-use bike path that would be in various parts of the town, and the other is for what they called a Vine Brook Riverwalk, which would put a boardwalk through the middle of the wetland once the water department has no further use for it. They made a very nice presentation. There were 5 members of the team. They talked about a few things, and you've gotten the email, so, but just for the people that are watching, in the report, they talked about, they did a survey of how people felt about those projects. There was 246 people responded, and by I thought it was like 2 to 1, the majority of people tended to favor, they were most excited about the Vine Brook Riverwalk boardwalk. They thought that project was the one that seemed to be of most interest to them. And they came up with recommendations out of their capstone project to do a Vine Brook Riverwalk trail design. And they came up with unit costs of what it would cost for both the multi-use path and the boardwalk on a per-foot basis. They came up with some suggestions for a shared-use protected bike path in town. And they showed some ideas of how that is done with planters and signage and so forth. And then they talked a little bit about marked bicycle crossings. And then they talked about funding and costs. I mean, all of this was a way of, in my mind, of introducing the concept of alternatives to going somewhere by car, alternative modes of connectivity, either by pedestrian or by using bicycles. And these people introduced the project to the Board of Selectmen. They were all 5 of the members of the Select Board were very impressed. Some of them made very, very favorable comments. And so the next thing on the agenda is to consider how do we sort of move this to the next phase of consideration. And it might even be appropriate for, and we're gonna talk, I plan to have a talk with perhaps the Board of Selectmen, but they might want to approach an ad hoc committee to resolve some of the feasibility issues that would be involved. The feasibility issues are ownership of the land through the middle of the Vinebrook Aquifer, access down near the Islamic Center, access along Great Meadow Road, access along the Terrace Hall Pumping Station. These are just ideas. We don't know if there is access, meaning not only pedestrian bicycle access, but you need some room to park some cars and so forth. So all of those logistics need to be sorted out. So that would be the next phase of continuing this. The second part of looking at this would be, of course, funding. And would have to take maybe a more specific and critical look at what funding sources are available and how we would do that. So I know, I think I sent you around an email, okay? But if beyond that, you want to tune in to the very beginning of the Select Board's meeting for April 24th, you can sort of get the visual picture of how it went, and it was very well received by the Select Board. Okay, so does anyone have any comment? Bill or Indra, any comment on this subject?
I did watch that video today. It's very much worth watching to see their presentation. It's first on the agenda, as Larry said, and those students did a terrific job. And there's some nice visuals, and they even had some AI-generated stuff at the end of what some things could look like. And possibly, you know, they were told to think big, and they did. They're talking about walking the path over Route 95, 128, or maybe going under it, and they really pulled no punches in what they could possibly envision, and came up with price tags of like $3 to $5 million for the whole package, which I don't think is that bad, to tell you the truth. And they mentioned fundraising, possibilities as well. So it is really worth watching. It's about probably half an hour, 40 minutes long, but they did a good job.
Thank you, Bill. Indra, anything?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch, but I will definitely watch.
All right, Kent?
No, definitely, like Bill said, worth a watch.
Rob?
Yeah, I did the survey, and then, I did watch the Select Board meeting, and I thought it was, like a really great proposal, and sort of really, something that would really benefit, I think, the residents of the town and the people who work in the area as well.
In my former life, I used to be one of the supervisors for these capstone projects as an adjunct professor at Tufts. And I can tell you, out of all the ones, these guys did a really nice job. They did a very nice job. Okay, so what I'll do is, I think I got a link in the email for the entire report. I think the project team sent me a copy of the report, so I'll send it around to everyone in case you want to do more detailed reading. Okay, next, the next meeting is May 11th, and the next one is May 25th. Of course, if you can't make it, let us know. Anything else before we adjourn? Could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission?
So move, Rob.
Second?
Ken?
All right. Rob, how do you vote on adjournment?
Yes.
Kent on the same.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Another unanimous decision to adjourn the meeting. All right. Have a good night, everyone.